Welcome to this video where we will explore one of the most significant and controversial events in the history of the Middle East, the Islamic conquest of Persia. This was a time of great upheaval where two empires clashed in a brutal struggle for power, leaving behind a trail of destruction and devastation. The political turmoil and internal revolts had weakened the Sasanian Empire, paving the way for Muslim invaders to achieve military success. However, this success came at a great cost, with countless lives lost and communities torn apart. In this video, we'll delve into the causes and consequences of the Islamic conquest of Persia, including the political, social, and religious factors that fueled the conflict. So sit back and prepare to journey back in time to witness a tragic chapter in the history of the Middle East. Videos like these do get demonetized, so please hit that like button so my video is recommended to the maximum number of people. If you would like to support the channel, you can consider becoming a member or patron and gain access to exclusive member or patron only videos. The Sasanian Empire had a long and illustrious history, but by 7th century it was facing significant internal problems. One of the most significant issues was a series of internal revolts which had weakened the empire's hold on power. One of the most famous revolts was the Mazdakite Rebellion, which took place in the 6th century. The Mazdakites were a religious and social movement that called for equality and the abolition of private property. The movement gained significant support among the lower classes, but it was eventually crushed by the Sasanian army, but not without significantly weakening itself. Another major revolt was the Khurramite Rebellion, which took place in the early 7th century. The Khurramites were a religious and political movement that called for the overthrow of the Sasanian Shahs and the establishment of a new egalitarian society. The movement gained significant support among the Zoroastrian priests and the lower classes, but it was eventually crushed by the Sasanian army. In addition to internal revolts, the Sasanian Empire was facing significant challenges from external sources. One of the most significant challenges was its ongoing border disputes with the Byzantine Empire, which ruled over much of the eastern Mediterranean. The Byzantine-Sasanian Wars were a series of conflicts that took place between the two empires from the 3rd century AD to the 7th century AD. These conflicts were fought over control of territories in the Caucasus, Mesopotamia, and the Levant. One of the most significant battles of the Byzantine-Sasanian Wars was the Battle of Nineveh, which took place in 627 AD. The Sasanian army, commanded by King Khosrow II, was defeated by a Byzantine army led by Emperor Heraclius. This battle marked a turning point in the conflict, and the Byzantine Empire was able to gain control of much of the Sasanian Empire's territory. At the time of the Islamic conquest of Persia in the 7th century, Arabia was a region of diverse tribes and religions. The Arabian Peninsula was home to various pagan tribes, Jewish communities, and Christian kingdoms, each vying for power and control over the land. During this time, a new religion led by Prophet Muhammad emerged with a message of monotheism. While the Byzantine and Persian empires engaged in their power struggles, Muhammad was unifying the tribes of Arabia under Islam. However, the rest of the world paid little attention to Arabia, viewing it as a lawless and uncivilized land, unworthy of invasion or conquest. The Muslims in Arabia were watching the conflict between the Sasanian Empire and the Byzantine Empire with great interest. The Byzantine-Sasanian Wars had been raging for centuries, and both empires had been weakened by the prolonged conflict. Muslims saw an opportunity to expand their influence and spread Islam beyond the Arabian Peninsula. The Islamic conquest of Persia was not a sudden or spontaneous event. It was the result of years of planning, preparation, and military campaigns. The Muslim armies had already begun attacking Sasanian territories in the early 7th century, long before the Battle of Nineveh. The Muslims were successful in these early campaigns, which gave them the confidence and momentum to launch a full-scale invasion of Persia. In addition to attacking Persia, the Muslims were also planning to attack the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantines were seen as a powerful enemy and a threat to Muslim expansion. The Muslims believed that conquering Byzantine territories would be a significant achievement and would help spread Islam further. The Byzantine-Sassanian Wars had weakened both empires, and the Muslims saw this as an opportunity to strike while their enemies were vulnerable. The first Muslim invasion of Persia took place in 633 CE, 1 year after Muhammad's death. Under the caliphate of Abu Bakr, the Sassanian army commanded by General Bahram Chobin was defeated in the Battle of Chains, and the Muslim army captured the cities of Hira and Najaf. Right after this battle, the first Caliph Abu Bakr also died in 634, and the power dynamics were about to change, and Khalid ibn al-Walid, the hero of Muslim conquest, was about to come under fire. After the death of Muhammad, many tribes and individuals who had converted to Islam during his lifetime rebelled against the Muslim state. One such rebellion occurred in the region of Yamama, where a man named Musalama claimed to be a prophet and challenged the authority of the Muslim Caliphate. Khalid ibn al-Walid was tasked with leading the Muslim army against Musalama and his supporters. The battle was fierce and many lives were lost on both sides. Eventually, the Muslim forces were victorious and Musalama was killed. Now, here's a key piece of history that Muslims often tend to hide, as it is embarrassing and sheds light on the brutal practices of Muslim conquerors. Following the battle, Khalid discovered that one of Musalama's supporters, a man named Malik, had married a woman named Layla. Layla was a prisoner of war who had been captured during the fighting. She was often referred as the most beautiful woman in Arabia. According to some accounts, Khalid was attracted to Layla and decided to marry her himself, despite protests from other Muslim leaders who argued that she should be set free. The incident caused a rift between Khalid and second Caliph Umar, who believed that Khalid had acted improperly and selfishly by marrying the wife of a fallen rebel. Khalid was also accused of disobeying Umar's orders during the battle and risking the lives of Muslim soldiers. Although Khalid was able to defend his actions and prove his loyalty to Islam, his relationship with Umar continued to deteriorate, and it seems likely that Umar saw Khalid as a strong military genius who could potentially challenge his rule. Therefore, Khalid was eventually removed from his position as commander and replaced by other generals, including Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah and Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. Despite this setback, Khalid continued to serve the Muslim state and was involved in several other military campaigns before his death in 642 CE. One of the most significant battles of the conquest of Persia was the Battle of Qadisiyah, which took place in 636 CE, some 4 years after the death of Muhammad, under the leadership of the second Caliph Umar. The Muslim army commanded by Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas defeated the Sassanian army commanded by Rustam Farrukhzad. This battle marked the beginning of Muslim control over Persia. Despite some initial setbacks, the Muslim armies continued to make significant gains in the region. They were able to take advantage of the internal divisions with the Sassanian Empire and the discontent among the lower classes. The Muslims were also able to adapt to the changing battlefield conditions and develop new tactics and strategies. Another significant battle in the conquest of Persia was the Battle of Nahawand, which took place in 642 AD. The Sassanian army commanded by General Hormozd was defeated by a Muslim army led by Numan ibn Muqarrin. So some 9 years after the first Battle of Chains in 633 AD, this final battle in 642 AD marked the end of the Sassanian Empire and the beginning of Muslim rule in Persia. After the conquest of Persia, the Byzantine Empire saw it as a significant loss of territory and power in the region. The Byzantine-Sasanian wars had been ongoing for centuries, and the Byzantine Empire had been losing ground to the Sasanian Empire in recent years. With the rise of Islam and the successful conquest of Persia, the Byzantine Empire saw its eastern frontier threatened by a new and powerful force, more brutal and skilled in warfare than its previous foe. Under Muslim rule, new systems were enforced on the people of Persia. The Islamic legal system was implemented, and the Persian language was replaced with Arabic as the official language of the region. Over the coming decades, the rich and old Persian culture was obliterated and replaced by a new culture powered by Islam and Arabs. While many aspects of Persian culture were lost or changed during the Islamic conquest, Persian art, literature, and music managed to survive and can still be appreciated today. Muslim conquerors also introduced new administrative structures and taxation systems which were designed to facilitate governance and the collection of revenue. As for the conversion to Islam, it is difficult to determine exactly how many Persians converted to Islam after the conquest. Some Persians converted voluntarily, attracted by the message of monotheism and social justice preached by Islam. Others converted under duress, either because they were forced to do so or because they saw it as the only way to preserve their social status and avoid persecution. However, the takeover of Persia by the Muslim invaders was not as smooth as they would have liked or as Muslims would tell you, as there were many groups of people who resisted the invasion of their country. Zoroastrianism was the dominant religion of Persia before the arrival of Islam in the 7th century. The Zoroastrians believed in the dualistic concept of good and evil and practiced a religion that was centered around purity, honesty, and hard work. When the Arab armies invaded Persia in the mid-7th century and conquered the Sassanid Empire, which was the ruling dynasty of Persia, they imposed their religion and culture on the Persian people, including the Islamic Sharia. Many Zoroastrians resisted the Islamic Sharia and refused to convert to Islam. They faced persecution, discrimination, and marginalization under the Islamic rulers. However, they continued to practice their religion and maintain their culture and identity. Some Zoroastrians fled to India called Parsi, where they established a community that still exists today. One notable example of Zoroastrian resistance against the Islamic Sharia was the resistance of the Persian king Yezgerd III against the Arab invaders. Yezgerd III was the last Sassanid king of Persia who ruled from 632 to 651 AD. He fought several battles against the Arab armies but was eventually defeated and killed. His resistance inspired many Zoroastrians to resist the Islamic rulers and uphold their traditions and beliefs. Another example of Zoroastrian resistance was the resistance of the Zoroastrian community in the city of Yazd against the Arab conquerors. These Zoroastrians of Yazd, who were known for their piety and devotion, refused to convert to Islam and continued to practice their religion in secret. They also provided shelter and protection to other Zoroastrians who were fleeing from the Islamic persecution. The Zoroastrians of Yazd played a crucial role in preserving Zoroastrianism and its culture in Persia, despite the brutally enforced Islamic system. Although the Mazdakite resistance began and ended centuries before the arrival of the Arab invaders, it left a lasting imprint on Persian society, which posed challenges to the future Arab invaders. Before I tell you that, let's take a look into who the Mazdakites actually were. The Mazdakites advocated for a secular society in which everyone was equal and had access to the means of production. They also believed in the emancipation of women and the abolition of slavery, kind of like medieval communist movement, only in this case they weren't successful. The Mazdakite movement faced significant opposition from the ruling elites, particularly the aristocracy and the clergy, who saw their power and wealth threatened by the movement's ideas. In 524 AD, a group of nobles led a coup against King Kaved I, who had implemented Mazdakite ideals and even appointed the founding father of the movement, Mazdak as his chief advisor. They also imprisoned Mazdak and executed many of his followers. After that, the Mazdakites were suppressed by the Sassanid dynasty, which ruled Persia until it was conquered by the Arab armies in the mid-7th century. The Mazdakites, who had previously lived in the shadow of the Sassanids, found themselves now living in the shadow of their new masters, the Arabs, and they began to plan a rebellion against their new masters. This culture of rejecting the traditional social hierarchy and their love for social and economic equality may have influenced the resistance movement that emerged in Persia against the Arab conquerors, who were not as egalitarian as their own ideals. Many of these resistance movements were led by peasants, workers, and other marginalized groups who were inspired by the Mazdakites' ideas. For example, the Khurramite movement, which emerged in the 8th century AD and challenged the Arab rule in Persia, was founded by a Zoroastrian priest named Babak Khurram Dinan. The movement had strong elements of social and economic equality and was influenced by the Mazdakite movement's ideas. The Khurramites fought against the Arab armies and carried out a series of uprisings in Persia, which were eventually crushed by the Abbasid Caliphate. However, the movement had a significant impact on Persian history and culture, and its message of resistance and struggle against oppression continues to inspire many in modern-day Iran. The Islamic conquest of Persia had a profound impact on the country and its people, both in the immediate aftermath and over the centuries that followed. The introduction of Islam and the Arabic language into Persia had a significant effect on Persian culture and society, and the integration of Islamic and Persian traditions created a unique and complex cultural identity that endures to this day. The Arab conquest also led to the suppression and marginalization of other religious and cultural groups, such as the Mazdakites and Zoroastrians, who played important roles in Persian history and culture. The legacy of the Islamic conquest continues to shape modern-day Iran as the country navigates its complex identity and relationship with the broader Islamic world. Despite the challenges and conflicts that have arisen over the centuries, Persian culture and traditions have persisted and continue to play a vibrant role in shaping Iran's past, present, and future. Today, Iran is ruled by Shia Islam, which is still suppressing the wider Iranian people. The recent turn of events has indicated that Islam is fading away in modern-day Iran, and the rebellion against the Islamic regime of Iran is gaining momentum. Would the people of Iran be able to throw away this 1400-year-old relic? That remains to be seen. If you like this video, please hit that like and share button, and also consider becoming a member or patron of this channel. That's it for now. Until next time. Bye-bye. If you like my video and would like to support my channel, then you can be my patron by going to patreon.com/xmuslim, or you can simply buy me a coffee.